Hey gamer friends, I'm Danielle.
And I'm Josiah,
And
we are ready to roll. Crunchy or filler? I'm not talking about peanut butter.
Yeah, I guess peanut butter might kind of fit in those. Cereal.
Yeah. It could be cereal.
Yeah?
We're talking about games. Crunchy games versus filler games. What niches do they fill? And what are their purposes?
Yeah, so my thought on this at first was just people new to the hobby. Because, you know, we did a video a long time ago about people new to the hobby. It was like lingo. And this is kind of that lingo. We like to use the term crunchy. We use the term filler. What does that actually mean? What do we mean by it?
Right.
You know, so I thought we'd kind of talk about it today.
So let's start by defining it.
Okay.
What we think it means.
Okay, so let's start with crunchy.
Yep.
Okay, so when I think of crunchy, I think of a game that has higher complexity.
Yeah.
Do you think, is that
100%.
what you would say?
Yeah,
Okay.
very much so.
Okay.
Maybe something that has a lot of components, or maybe a lot of mechanisms that you have to manage or use.
Yeah, I think of like a harder rules.
Yeah.
That rules read, rules teach. Like maybe a game that's more difficult to teach would be one that would be crunchy.
Maybe a game that is really thinky.
Yes. I agree with that.
Where you have to use your brain a bunch.
Something where you have to make a lot of decisions in the game.
Yeah.
Or like puzzly.
Yes, yeah, puzzly for sure. Playtime plays a factor into that.
Yes.
Crunchy games tend to be a lot longer than filler games.
Right. Strategic games that you're just, it's just that thinkiness to them.
Yeah.
That's the crunchy part.
Yeah.
All right, so filler. What do we think of filler?
Easy to learn, easy to play, easy rule set.
Yes. Quick.
Usually faster, much faster. Not a lot of strain to think about. Like, it's just
simple.
It's just simple. Yeah.
Right.
Simple, fun.
Sometimes I think, like, I don't know if this is true or not, but I think it does, like, maybe games with a lot more luck involved.
Yeah.
Or, things like that sometimes play into it. So we thought we would talk today about, like, when we want a crunchy game and when we want a filler game.
Yeah.
Because I think there is a place for both, for sure.
Yeah.
So, when do you want to play a crunchy game?
Okay, so the very first thing I thought of was certain play groups that I'm with.
Okay.
Can maybe determine whether or not I'm playing a crunchy game or a filler game, right? So when we play with Talon and Michaela, who are themselves gamers,
right?
We tend to go to a crunchy game because it's something that it's like. You wanna tackle that big, sort of mountain of a game,
right?
So that happens a lot when we play with them,
and a lot when we play with us.
Yes, true.
We do a lot of crunchier games, especially if we're learning it.
Right.
If we're learning a game, typically it's just the two of us.
Right. That's right.
Because it's a lot easier for us to learn with just us, and then we can teach the game later.
Right. Yeah.
If it's crunchy.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that when I think of a crunchy game, even if it's like a game with Talon and Michaela or other board gamer people, I think of it's the main game that we're playing.
Yeah.
Because we'll often talk about, we'll be like, oh, well, we can't play that game and that game.
Right.
Because they're both crunchy games.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like we won't be able to, we don't have enough time, or whatever the case may be. Or after we play that game, like, I know my brain's just going to be spent. Like,
right.
I won't want to play something like that.
Yeah.
And so when I think of crunchy game, I think of, like, the main game for game night. Yes, the main event. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, so a lot of times if we're going to set aside 3 or 4 hours, let's say, to play games with you and I, or with Michaela and Talon, typically we pick like you said, a main game that we're going to play that day. And then if we get to other games, great, but this is the main event. This is what we came here for.
Right.
And that's when we want usually a crunchy game.
Yes. And so that brings us to, like, when we pick filler games. And it's the opposite of that. It's like when we want something light, when we want something quick.
Yeah.
And I think of this is one that like offsets that crunchy game. Even the other day we were playing games and it was like we played through a game and it was like, okay, I want to play another game, but I don't want to have to think too much.
Right.
And so that's when those filler games come in and it's like, I want to keep going, but I'm like, I need a break from that. Like,
yeah. Spent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heavy thought.
And then also the other side of the player group is when we're playing with people who maybe aren't board gamers but like to play games with us.
Yes.
We're typically gonna play more filler type games.
Right.
More simple games, more faster games, things like that.
Yes, and certain groups that don't play a lot of board games, or I say they don't play a lot of strategy games.
Yeah.
They just want a really just easy to learn. That's really important in those types of situations. It's like, I don't want to have to learn like all these rules. Can you just teach a quick game?
Right.
And that's where the filler games come in handy,
Yeah.
pretty easily.
Another time that I'm thinking of is if we have 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We want to play a game, but we only have 30 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe, and so we're like, okay, well, we can't get out a big 2-hour crunchy game.
Right.
So we'll get out a filler game and we'll play it once or twice.
Yes.
Yeah,
and that's honestly one of my favorite things about filler games is that you can do that because it's so fast.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of plays in, like, some of those filler games we've played over and over and over and over again, and before you know it, you're like, oh, we played that 10 times.
Yeah, right.
You didn't even realize it because it was just so fast.
Yeah.
So I like that. All right, so one thing that I have to say, because, this is for maybe people a little bit newer to the hobby, right? So they're kind of learning these games or learning these terms or whatever. And I feel like some people in the board game space tend to look down on people who really enjoy filler games.
Yeah.
And that really bugs me.
Yeah. I don't understand it, honestly.
I don't either.
I get that maybe there's, crunchy games, you get more satisfaction once you complete it or something to that effect. Maybe you think that it determines how big of a gamer you are, how good of a gamer you are if you play only crunchy games, or you play more crunchy games than anyone else, or something to that effect. I don't know, but I think that's just silly.
Yes. I think there's definitely, like, you can like whatever you want. I'm okay if you only like crunchy games. That's fine. I just don't like it when you pretend like people who only like filler games aren't real gamers.
Right.
They're just a different type of gamer.
Right. That's right.
And so that part is, I don't like.
Right. Agreed.
And so there's some, I guess what do they call it? Gatekeeping a little bit in that. And I think that's dumb. And on that same line, like BGG, which is like holds the all things board games, does skew to those heavier games.
They do.
And so, but every once in a while, some of those like light filler games will make their way like onto some of the higher numbered lists, and I really think that that's fun.
Yeah, I think that's the case because BGG is rated by pretty serious board gamers.
Yes, that's true.
And those pretty serious board gamers tend to navigate to crunchy games.
Mm-hmm.
We all do. Like, or I shouldn't say all. A lot of us do.
Mm-hmm.
Even us.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that there's not a space or a place for filler games.
Mm-hmm.
I think there absolutely is, and I think it makes you a more well-rounded board gamer.
Yeah.
If you fit in some of those filler games.
Yeah, if you can, find one that you enjoy. And your gaming group would probably appreciate it every once in a while. I think is it like the palate cleanser, as you say?
Yeah.
Just to have like a little, or just something silly. I know some groups you can't be silly in, but sometimes it's just fun to be like really goofy when you play a game. And I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Because I like to be goofy.
Yeah.
So one thing that you're gonna find on our top game list is you're gonna see a mixture of crunchy games and filler games.
Yep.
And I think that that's because we do genuinely love both types of games.
That's right.
We're I would say we're omni gamers. We like all different types of games, all different, and so we like them all. We like them all. So you're going to see some of those on all of our lists.
That's right.
All right. So if you are new to the hobby, I hope you have a little bit better understanding of the difference between crunchy and filler, at least as far as we see crunchy and filler.
Right.
And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.
And tell us down below in the comments, what are your thoughts on crunchy and filler games? Do you prefer both or only one type?
Oh, and what's your favorite crunchy game? And what's your favorite filler game?
That's a great one. Yeah.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.